point out to the Planning Commission, a project of this size, they have to post financial security that guarantees that these improvements are made, and they will pay for township inspections to assure that this work goes on according to the plans. So there's a whole process that goes through as you move into the construction part of this, and part of it is initially, once they know the plan's approved, they provide an estimate for the improvements, they provide financial security to guarantee those improvements. Then when they're all done, they ask the township to take it over, and we went through a whole inspection process on that. So I just want to point out that if it would get to that point, that's where there would be. And I think that's all I have, unless there's any questions of the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Dean. Mr. Bonity, as Township Code Enforcement Officer, do you have any questions or comments that you would like to share?
I just wanted to share a review letter from Public Works that our office received yesterday. As requested, I reviewed the final submission of the subdivision identified as Majestic Woods, the issues related to the Public Works, which include all proposed public improvements, particularly the proposed cast-in-place concrete retaining wall, which will be located within the township right-of-way. The structure will have no impact upon the township maintenance or snow removal activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Furman, did you have any questions or comments you'd like to share at this time?
No, the only thing that, well, I guess yes. The only thing that I have, of course, is that the preliminary approval in this case was granted. So really the only question is if the plan meets the same as the preliminary plan and meets the conditions, then the obligation is to approve the plan. That's the standard.
Does anyone on the Planning Commission have any questions or comments?
I have a question. Mr. Barnaby, from your perspective, has this developer met all the current South Park requirements regarding this project?
In my perspective, yes.
Mr. Dezeroth, same question. From your perspective, has this developer met all the current requirements of South Park Township for this project?
Yes, they have.
Ms. Shangle, same question. From your perspective, has this developer met all the current South Park requirements for this project?
My perspective is zoning, and the answer is yes, they have.
Mr. Dezeroff, if you could step back from the microphone for a
Sure.
moment. Thank you. So when this plan had preliminary approval with the Board of Supervisors in May of '24, they set forth 9 conditions. Could you please review those conditions and give us an update?
Yeah, the conditions were, and I don't know them in the order that they were presented.
Mr. Dutch, would you like a copy of them?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so the conditions as outlined in the May 17th letter were that the developer must submit final subdivision and construction plans in accordance with the South Park Township subdivision and land development ordinance. Those plans have been submitted. They were first submitted in August. They're here tonight in their final form. The developer must provide a final detailed geotechnical design to address the geotechnical comments in Gateway Engineers letter dated April 24, 2024. They have provided that final report. They've also provided a plan for grouting of lots in the streets as required. They've been reviewed by a geotechnical engineer in addition to myself in our office, so that condition has been met. The third condition was the developer must make improvements to Sleepy Hollow Road depicted on the Victor Wetzel plan entitled Overall Preliminary Plan Sheet 200 with revised date of April 30th, 2024. This includes, but is not limited to the following: on-site improvements, on-site improvement on the development frontage to reconstruct the road to township standards from the eastern side of the development, Curtis Drive, to the eastern line of the Nicolov property. That condition has been met as depicted on the plans. Off-site improvement to reconstruct the road to the township pavement thickness standards to a width of at least 24 feet for another 500 feet to the west. And yes, that condition has been met by the plans that have been submitted. The third is off-site improvement to widen to 24 feet and overlay the remaining portion of the road to the intersection of Stoltz Road with 2 inches of wearing course. That condition has been met by the submission of the plans tonight. And then off-site improvements to modify the culverts under Sleepy Hollow Road as necessary for a 24-foot cartway to extend Stoltz Road. And I think as we knew the plan back then, there was not a final plan on how they were supposed to cross the culvert. As planned tonight, there will be no modification required to the culvert to cross the road. As they depicted, the alignment has changed. They're going out into the further in the, as you approach Stoltz Road on the left, they're going further to that direction to come across the road, or come across the culvert, directly across it, and then they're going to require them to move a existing utility pole to make that happen. So that condition has been met. The developer is to obtain planning module approval for sewage facilities. That condition, as I mentioned earlier, has been met. The developer must obtain an MPS permit for the development. That's still pending because, as I've told you earlier, that's a permit, a third-party permit that requires our approval from the township before that can occur. And then the developer will delay timbering activities until a grading permit is issued and erosion and sedimentation controls are implemented. They've agreed to that condition and noted that on the plans. The developer must obtain approval of fire hydrant locations. That has already been taken care of. The developer must submit HOA documents for review by the township solicitor. I believe that's already occurred. And then fully executed stormwater and developers agreements in the posting of financial security for improvements to develop the site, including bonding conditions of the existing culverts under Sleepy Hollow Road must be submitted to the township prior to the onset of construction activities. So that would be included in the developer's agreement if this moves forward. Any questions on that?
Mr. Wetzel, I did have one question regarding the wall on Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
I know in some of the earlier plans, that wall was higher.
Mm-hmm.
What changed that we are now down to a 3-foot, 3.5 foot wall?
Yeah, really, it's just some of the location of the wall, going to also a cord. Previously, we were using more of a jumbo block type of wall that we built along to there. They're much thicker in depth. We're now going to a poured concrete wall, so it's a much thinner wall thickness, about 1 foot 3 inches, 4 inches. So that reduces some of the grading that took place. And then once again, we're doing some grading from the top of the wall to the existing slope, all within the road right away. So I think it becomes a much better plan when we reduce some of those wall heights. At one point, there was a section that was about 8 feet high, and with this change in construction method, we were able to reduce that size.
Thank you. Any other questions on the board? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so we will call on the people. We'll start on the left side here.
Can we stick to the order that we've signed up, because we've kind of planned our
Okay,
order.
I don't
Did you
have
want to go
the-
off the,
Yeah. if you can-
I don't have that, so
Thank you.
Well, I guess
that's fine.
is anybody else, is everybody signed up that wants to speak, or?
I didn't sign that.
I would ask that, when you get up to speak, if someone has already talked about a particular subject, if you have something new to share, or to comment upon, great. We'd love to hear that. If it's the same thing again, you could just say, hey, I have the same concerns as already stated. So, we'd like to have as many people speak tonight as we can, but, so we'll just start out from there. So, Tim, why don't you come on up? If you could just state your name when you start. Okay.
Good evening. Tim Foster, 1046 Westchester Road. My comments tonight, I'd like to focus on 4 critical issues: the status of the developer's preliminary approval, the failure of the final plan to meet mandatory compliance review requirements, the extensive missing elements required under our final application ordinance, and the outstanding contingencies from the preliminary approval. All 4 of these issues lead to one unavoidable conclusion: this application cannot legally move forward tonight. The first point: preliminary approval has been automatically rescinded under Township Code. Conditional approval in Southport Township is governed by clear, binding language. Under E, the applicant shall submit or reject the conditions attached to the preliminary approval by giving written notice to the Township Manager within 30 days of the date of the meeting of the Board of Supervisors at which the preliminary approval is granted. In this case, May 13th, 2024. It further states that the applicant fails to give written notice to the Township regarding acceptance or rejection of the conditions attached to the preliminary approval within the required 30 days, the preliminary approval shall automatically be rescinded without written notice to the applicant. We reviewed all Township documents from March 2024 through November 2025. There is no acceptance letter, none in the record, none in the files. The preliminary approval conditions needed to be accepted in writing within 30 days, and these are the 9 contingencies that were attached to the preliminary approval. They needed to be accepted by June 2024. At the May 12, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting, I directly asked whether there had been any communication with the developer since the preliminary approval. The official answer on the record was no. The Township stated in the minutes that from May 13, 2024, the date of the preliminary approval, to that day, a year later, May 12, 2025, the Township office has not received or heard anything further from the developer. If you can see, that's in my attachment A. This confirms that the legally required acceptance letter was never submitted. Under our ordinance, the result is automatic and unavoidable. The preliminary approval shall be automatically be rescinded. This matter is not open to interpretation, it's the law. Can we get any clarification on the acceptance letter? Because it's nowhere in the files. Our ordinance requires it. There's an automatic rescind of the preliminary approval if the acceptance letter is not received. Is there an acceptance letter?
Tom, do we have anything?
We do not have an acceptance letter, but we do have continual communication with the developer.
Tom, if you guys have the meetings, I just want to just clarify that point. You guys have the meeting minutes. Tom's answer is, and this is, I've got a video